Hello, how are you? I'm George, and today I want to talk to you about something you may have felt before, but never knew how to explain. Why do you prefer staying at home, away from the chaos of the world? It may go far beyond a simple preference, and have a greater purpose behind it. Many people associate this behavior with isolation, shyness, or even sadness. But what if it's exactly the opposite? What if this impulse to stay in your own space is actually a sign that you are someone different, with greater spiritual sensitivity? Maybe you are one of the chosen. And that changes everything. The chosen carry a light of their own. They are people who perceive the world more deeply, and for that reason, often need silence, the comfort, and the protection of their home to reconnect with who they truly are. It's not running away, it's wisdom. And the world doesn't always understand that. If you feel more comfortable at home than in places filled with confusing energy, this video was made for you. Today, I'm going to share 7 truths that help explain this behavior. And who knows, by the end you might recognize yourself and feel less alone on this journey. If this topic makes sense to you, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. This is a safe space for those who feel differently, think differently, and live in search of something deeper. Let's walk this path together. Take a deep breath, grab a coffee, and come with me to discover if you are also one of the chosen who prefer the silence of home to the noise of the world. Have you ever stopped to think about why being at home brings you so much peace? While many people feel boredom or loneliness when they spend too much time alone, you feel the opposite. Being in your own space renews you, calms you, brings you back into balance. It's not just comfort, it's something sacred. And this is one of the first marks of someone who is chosen. For the chosen ones, home is not just a physical place, it is a shelter for the soul. It is the only space where they can lower their guard, remove their masks, and reconnect with what truly matters. When everything outside is loud, agitated, and filled with energies that weigh on the body and mind, it is inside the home that healing happens. Maybe you have already felt this. After going out, talking to many people, even having some fun, but then arriving home and feeling relief, as if you could finally breathe again. This is not fussiness. It is not laziness. It is your spiritual sensitivity telling you that it needs a clean, calm, and energetically light environment. It is inside the home that the chosen ones hear their intuition more clearly. It is where they access deep thoughts, receive subtle messages from the universe, or simply manage to think clearly. That is why many of them create true rituals without even realizing it. Music that relaxes them, a corner with plants, a lit candle, incense, a book to read. All of this is practical spirituality. The home becomes a personal temple, and it doesn't need to be big, beautiful, or perfect. What matters most is that it carries your energy. It can be a small bedroom, a space on the balcony, or even a corner of the couch. The chosen one transforms this place into an invisible sanctuary, where everything makes more sense. Another important point, it's not that the chosen one doesn't like people, but they feel the weight of the collective very intensely. Every environment carries an energetic charge, and the chosen ones feel this in their bodies. They absorb other people's emotions, perceive looks, sense the atmosphere of a conversation, even what is not said. That is why being outside the home requires much more energy. That is also why it is so common for them to seek silence, introspection, and even temporary withdrawal. Being alone does not mean being sad. On the contrary, the chosen one often finds happiness in simple things. Hot coffee, the sound of rain, the smell of an old book, a sincere conversation. These small things are what nourish their soul. Some people will say, "You need to go out more. Go live your life." as if living meant only being among crowds. But the chosen one understands that being at home is not stagnation. It is strengthening. It is where they listen to themselves, where they understand their mission, where they prepare for the next steps. In truth, it is inside the home that the chosen ones access their true strength. And that is what makes them so special. While the world tries to speed up, the chosen one slows down. While the world runs outward, the chosen one dives inward. Because it is within themselves that they find what the world is still trying to understand. So, if you feel this peace when you are at home, if you feel that this is your safe place, this is not a coincidence. It may be the first sign that you carry a special sensitivity, that you are indeed one of the chosen, and your home is the starting point for everything that will still bloom on your journey. There is a kind of silence that heals, and those who are chosen feel this deeply. The solitude that many avoid at all costs is seen by the chosen as a moment of reunion, not with the world, but with themselves. They are not afraid of being alone, because they have already understood that it is in silence that the greatest answers arrive. Many people think that being silent is strange, that those who do not talk much must have some problem. But over time, the chosen ones realize that there is great wisdom in saying nothing, in observing, in feeling, in listening more than speaking. Because it is in this inner space that the connection with something greater is revealed. Solitude, in this case, is not absence, it is presence, presence of oneself. It is when the chosen one does not need to please anyone, does not need to fit in, does not need to perform. They simply are. And that, in itself, is already a form of deep spirituality. After all, anyone who can be alone and still be at peace has found a rare kind of freedom. The chosen ones are not afraid to sit in the dark and reflect on life, to meditate, to write, to converse with the invisible. Sometimes, without knowing how, they begin to have insights, premonitions, memories they do not know where they come from. It is as if an older wisdom begins to awaken, and this only happens when the noise of the world is left outside. It is also common for the chosen ones to go through phases in which they need to distance themselves from people, not out of pride, but for protection. It is as if something inside them says, "Now is the time to take care of yourself." And they respect that, because they have already learned, often through pain, that ignoring this inner calling brings consequences. Being alone, sometimes, is the most loving way to preserve oneself. And more than that, the chosen ones understand that not every silence needs to be filled. They are not afraid of a silent night, of a day at home without distractions. They do not seek to escape the mind all the time, because they know that within it, there are portals of understanding that the external world can never offer. They face their own soul directly, without masks. This silence also connects them with the divine. Whatever name they give to this force, God, universe, energy, light, the chosen ones feel this presence in the details, in the wind that hits the window, in a song that plays at the right moment, in a thought that arrives with the exact answer. And this is only possible because they are attentive, present, connected. So, if you feel that you need more silence than most people, if solitude comforts you instead of frightening you, understand this. It is not a sign of weakness, nor of depression. It is a sign that your soul is more awake. It is a sign that you hear what others still ignore, the voice of the Spirit. The world may not understand this now, and that's okay. What matters is that you understand it, because it is in the silence of your home, in the corner of your room, in the pause between one thought and another, that you discover who you truly are. And that is the greatest power of a chosen one, to be whole, even when alone. One of the greatest characteristics of someone who is chosen is heightened sensitivity. We're not talking about drama or getting emotional over nothing. We're talking about something deeper. The ability to perceive what lies behind words, to pick up on the atmosphere of a place, to feel when something isn't right, even if no one says anything. The chosen absorb energy. They walk into a room and can sense whether there is peace or confusion there. In a conversation, they notice when someone is sad, even if they're smiling. And that level of perception demands a lot of energy. That's why crowded, noisy, or tense environments become exhausting. The body may try to adapt, but the soul feels everything and responds. Many times, the chosen one doesn't even understand why they're so drained after a simple meeting, a trip to the mall, or a family lunch. But the answer lies in the energetic load. While others go about their routines without noticing, the chosen one is constantly reading everything around them. And that comes at a cost, emotional and spiritual fatigue. That's why many chosen ones prefer to stay home. Not out of fear, but because their body and soul need a neutral, clean, peaceful space. Home becomes the place where they can breathe without absorbing others' burdens, where they don't need to be on guard all the time, where they can simply exist without needing to protect themselves. This sensitivity also manifests in the body. Sudden headaches, insomnia, unexplained discomfort. All of these can be signs of energetic overload. The chosen feel in the body what the spirit is trying to say. And often all they need is silence, rest, and distance from certain environments to regain balance. It's common for these people to avoid places like hospitals, government offices, parties with a lot of drinking, or even heavy family gatherings. Not out of arrogance, but for self-preservation. They've already learned that forcing themselves to be where the energy is heavy comes with a high cost afterward. And those who are chosen learn to listen to themselves, even when others don't understand. The most beautiful part of all this is that, despite feeling so much, the chosen remain empathetic. They help, they listen, they welcome others, but they know when to withdraw. They know they can't save the world at the expense of their own health. They learn to set boundaries, not out of selfishness, but because they understand that their energy is sacred, and it must be protected. If you've ever felt guilty for not wanting to be around everyone all the time, take a deep breath. You're not wrong, you're just more awake. Your sensitivity is a gift, and also a responsibility. Knowing when to retreat is part of your mission, because those who feel deeply need more time to recover. Being sensitive in a noisy world is not weakness, it's a quiet strength, and that's why the chosen prefer to stay at home. Because there, they don't need to filter energies, fake feelings, or force smiles. At home, they simply are, and that's enough. Another powerful trait of someone who is chosen is intuition. They don't live based only on logic, checklists, or external advice. They feel when something is right or wrong. And the most impressive part is that almost always, that sixth sense is correct. Even if they can't explain it, they know. It's a silent knowing, but a very real one. The intuition of the chosen is like an internal compass. When they ignore it, things fall apart. But when they trust it, everything flows. Have you ever avoided someone for no reason and later found out that person wasn't trustworthy? Or turned down an offer that was too good to be true and later realized you dodged a trap? That's your intuition at work. It manifests in many ways. A tight feeling in the stomach, a sense of alert, an idea that pops up out of nowhere, a vivid dream, a repeated synchronicity. These are signs the universe sends, and the chosen learn to decipher them. But to hear them, silence is necessary. That's why the chosen so deeply value their time alone. Staying home, away from outside distractions, helps clear the mind. It's like cleaning a dirty window. You start to see what was there all along. Intuition is like that. It was always there. It was just muffled by the noise of the world. The chosen know this. That's why they retreat. That's why they observe. That's why they feel before they act. Often the chosen can't explain the reason for their decisions, and that bothers others. Why didn't you go? Why did you pull away? You've changed. Yes, they've changed. Because they heard something no one else did. Because their soul spoke louder. Because their intuition warned them. And they respected it. This intuitive sensitivity also brings them closer to the invisible. The chosen sense presences, feel shifts in the air, recognize signs in simple things, a number that repeats, an animal that appears out of nowhere, a smell that triggers an important memory. Everything is a message. Everything communicates, and the chosen know this, even if they never read it in a book. Intuition is a spiritual inheritance, a divine gift that guides the chosen in the right direction, even when the path is uncertain. And that's why they need to be in environments that support this connection. And home is the main one. There, they hear themselves. And that changes everything. If you're the kind of person who just knows, who's felt something before it happened, who gets hunches that later prove true, trust it. That's not paranoia. That's your soul guiding you. The more you respect that inner voice, the more clearly it will lead you. The chosen understand that not everything needs to be explained. It needs to be felt. And that living in tune with intuition is far safer than following the crowd. That's why they pause, listen, choose, and many times prefer to stay at home. Because it's in the silence of their own presence that they hear the wisest voice of all, the one that comes from within. Many people see isolation as something negative, as if the person is running away from life. But the chosen ones know that stepping back from time to time is essential for maintaining balance. They're not running from the world. They're simply withdrawing, so they don't lose themselves. And that, in fact, is an act of courage. The chosen one feels when something is wrong. And more than that, they feel when their energy is being drained. That's why they allow themselves to take a step back. They turn off their phone, decline invitations, stay quiet, not to hide, but to recharge, because they know that if they keep exposing themselves, they'll get sick on the inside, even if they seem to be smiling on the outside. This kind of isolation has nothing to do with giving up. It's a movement from the inside out. When the chosen one steps away, they're protecting themselves from heavy energies, toxic environments, people who only want to drain them. They feel their light is being attacked and, in order not to burn out, they retreat. It's in this space of retreat that the chosen one restores their strength. They read, reflect, meditate, sleep, cry if needed. They allow themselves to feel, process, and heal. And when they return, they come back stronger, more conscious, more centered. While the world demands constant presence, the chosen one responds with sacred absence. Of course, not everyone understands this behavior. They'll say you're pulling away, that you're different, that you've isolated yourself too much. And they may try to blame you for taking care of yourself. But the chosen one learns sooner or later that they have to choose between pleasing others and preserving themselves. And almost always, they choose their own emotional health. This protective isolation is also a form of spiritual shield. The chosen ones are like sponges. They absorb everything around them. and there's not always time to filter it all. That's why, when they step back, they're placing a layer of protection between themselves and the external chaos. They're creating a field of peace where the spirit can breathe. There's an ancient wisdom in this behavior. In many cultures, healers, shamans, and wise ones would withdraw from the village for days or weeks. They would go into nature, to the mountaintops, deep into the forest. Because they knew that to hear the voice of the spirit, silence was required. The modern chosen one does this in their room, on the couch, in a quiet corner of the house. If you feel the need to be alone for a while, if your body and soul are asking for rest, listen. That's not weakness or cowardice. It's wisdom. It's the way your spirit found to protect itself. Don't wait until you're burned out to stop. Don't wait until you're sick to rest. Isolation might be the medicine your soul is asking for. And when you return, things change. You see with more clarity, speak with more wisdom, feel with more truth. Because the retreat healed you. Because the silence reorganized you from within. Because isolation, far from pulling you away from life, reconnected you with what really matters. The chosen one understands that they don't have to be available all the time. That it's not selfish to say, "Not today." That their own peace is sacred. And that protecting themselves is sometimes the greatest act of love one can give to oneself. The chosen ones don't live only by what they see. They feel what's beyond the eyes. There's a silent, invisible, but very real connection between them and something greater. God, the universe, the source. The name doesn't matter. What matters is that they know they are not alone. And that changes everything. This connection can't be explained with words, nor does it depend on religion. The chosen one may not even attend temples or identify with traditional beliefs, but they feel. They perceive signs, messages, subtle touches from life saying, "You're on the right path." Sometimes it's a song that plays at the perfect moment, a dream that brings an answer, a shiver in the middle of the day. Being at home helps strengthen this bond with the invisible. There they can hear better, because there's less interference, less pressure. It's in the silence of the home that the signs become clearer, that intuition becomes sharper, that the presence of the sacred reveals itself in the small things, in the light through the window, in the scent of incense, in the simple beating of the heart. Many chosen ones report feeling presences, seeing patterns, noticing too many coincidences to be random. They sense when the atmosphere shifts, when something or someone enters the room. They feel when someone is thinking about them, even from afar. This isn't illusion, it's spiritual sensitivity. And it's always active. You just have to pay attention. This connection with the invisible also shows up as an inner certainty that everything has a purpose. Even in hard times, the chosen have a deep trust that something is guiding their steps. They've been through trials, losses, and breakups. And even so, something inside them has never stopped believing. Maybe that's why they can comfort with just a few words, help with a simple presence, or calm others with a single look. Because they carry this higher energy, this trust in something greater that doesn't need explanation. The chosen are like spiritual antennas. They connect heaven to earth, the invisible to the now. That's why they prefer calmer environments. External noise interferes with the reception of the subtle. And the signs from the invisible don't shout, they whisper. Silence is needed to hear. That's why being at home, in a space that's energetically clean and serene, is fundamental for the chosen one to keep that connection alive. It's no coincidence that many of these beings have vivid dreams, out-of-body experiences, déjà vu, encounters with loved ones who have passed. These are ways the invisible finds to communicate. And the chosen one recognizes those moments. They know they're being cared for. They know they're being guided. There is something very special about the chosen ones who prefer to stay at home. They don't make noise, don't seek the spotlight, don't try to prove anything to anyone. But in the silence of their home, they are doing something grand. They are healing, discovering themselves, strengthening. And that impacts the world in ways that aren't always visible. Many times this journey is a lonely one, not by choice, but by nature. While the world values busyness, the chosen ones listen to the soul. While most chase distractions, they prefer real presence, inner care, soul rest. And that's no small thing. That's courage. That's spiritual wisdom. The chosen are gardeners of the invisible. They tend to their roots in silence even when no one sees. They prefer the depth of a good thought to the noise of an empty conversation. And when they choose to stay home, it's not out of laziness. It's because they know that the connection with the divine is cultivated in stillness. The truth is that being a chosen one is not easy, but it's beautiful. It's challenging but full of purpose. It's not about hiding from the world, but about finding a truer way of existing within it. And if you feel this in your heart, then yes, maybe you are one of them. A chosen one, an awakened spirit, walking in silence. You are not alone. There are many like you, scattered, awakening, feeling the call. And all of us, little by little, are finding each other, through affinity, through energy, through truth. If this message touched your heart in any way, leave a comment below. I'd really love to know how you live this journey. This exchange between us makes it all worthwhile.